This is cool out here because I've got a bit of a spotlight on this balcony. We're at the beach. But I wanted to share my testimony of how God brought me into performing arts because I did not start that way. I started as a journalist, corporate strategy, competitive intelligence, eventually marketing, communications. And I've just always been one of those people that's like, I don't know what I'm meant to do. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I felt that way until just a few years ago. In high school, I actually, I had a clue because I really enjoyed drama. At first I was like, nerds, right? But then my math teacher, who was also the drama sponsor, encouraged me to join, and I did, and I did really well. I think that was also around the 2008 election cycle, and I kind of looked like Sarah Palin when I had glasses on, and so we did some skits with that, and so that was my breakout role. And I also did choir, and I was very active in choir all 4 years of academy because I went away to boarding school. And I don't know, I never considered that could be a career or to take it seriously because I was always pretty average at that stuff. And I don't think I did any creative writing at that time of my life. So after high school, I took a year off. Actually did some extra work on a film or a series that never made it public. I don't know how you say it. It was not successful. The pilot didn't get picked up. And I was pretty entrepreneurial. I always looked for opportunities to sell, picking berries and selling them or something like that to make money. My dad was, he had his own forestry business, so I guess I have some kind of entrepreneurial spirit in me. And I just got into journalism because I did an internship, just kind of volunteering at the local paper, picking up, how they do things, a certain way of writing. And I ended up going to school to study communications, and I had an incredible professor, Dr. Michael Smith. I think he's a doctor. We had a joke about it. I don't know if he actually is, but I still called him that, and I think I got extra points. Just kidding. But in that class, he really became an advocate for me. He encouraged me and made a way for me to do this 5-week journalism boot camp in the Empire State Building in New York City. That was a transformative experience for me. It was a Christian organization at King's College or something like that they met in the bottom of that building. It was very cool. And so I really got into journalism, and that professor also taught me how to think in webs, how to connect ideas, and that was super valuable to me. Now, I didn't know then, but now it is. Just mapping out how you categorize things and connect different ideas and concepts. So after that, I transferred to UNC Chapel Hill. I had an amazing internship at the Raleigh News and Observer, and I just went the journalism path because I took some marketing business classes, but it was more I've already got credits in this. I just need to get my degree. I didn't even really want to go to college, but I did it because I wanted to earn money to have stability. After that, I got a job doing corporate strategy with, actually don't know how that happened. I don't know how my journalism degree translated to corporate strategy, but I got a great job doing that, and I learned competitive intelligence. So I went from being very right-brained or something, in high school to being very left-brained, and my heart was always to do mission work and stuff like that. If I could have chosen my career, I would love to be, I would have loved to have been missions, social work, something that made hundreds of thousands of dollars at the time. So after corporate strategy, competitive intelligence, I got married, moved to Hartford, Connecticut, and started working in health insurance, which could not be a more boring, soul-sucking industry, basically, unless you put me in pharma and sciences and stuff like that. That would probably be the only thing worse for me, for what I'm interested in and good at. So it was a huge learning curve, but my husband was in health insurance and I needed a job, and my family was going through a heavy loss of my dad's health was declining. We had to close the business, sell everything. It was a very dark time, and I had kind of sunk into depression, and I didn't realize also, like, thank God I had this amazing job that would develop into a great career, because I was heavily, like, very, very, very severely depressed. And I was, at this time, it was kind of the beginning of being neglected and discarded in the marriage, and I just didn't know it yet, but I was feeling it. And so after corporate strategy, I kind of got into marketing and marketing strategy, and I had amazing managers who gave me access to really, like, important high-level work, and I got to do the type of work where it's like stretching your brain so much. But I was really bringing order and creativity together, and that's something that I'm going to carry into, like, my purpose and my impact for the kingdom of God and stuff like that. I know that for a fact, because I keep getting that kind of feedback that, like, I'm good at both of those things, which is pretty unusual to be in the performing arts industry and to be also good at order and creativity. And I love it. So at that time, still not doing anything creative. If anything, yeah, I remember a friend, like, invited me to try improv, but, like, I think I was just kind of focused on the work I was doing and attending church, like, not aggressively, just passively. So then we moved to Dubai. Then I encountered God, right? Like, this is where I have a video about it, but it's like, I was always a Christian, but the first prophetic word God gave to me was about singing. And at that point, I'd been so depressed that, like, and my husband, he didn't really like music. So it's like, I couldn't really play music in the house without it annoying him. It wasn't his, jam to be artsy and creative and loud and happy and joy. Like, no, like, that was me, and I can do that in my private time, like, away from him, because it would, like, bother him so much to have music playing in the house and stuff like that. So I just kind of, like, became smaller. My creativity less for multiple reasons, not just because of my husband, but also, like, I was just so focused on getting my family out of this terrible financial situation. I was in, like, fix-it mode, problem-solving mode, like, survival mode, right? And the first prophetic word I got made me realize that I had lost my voice in this process. The first word I got, where I really felt like God saw me and loved me, was this word that someone, I, like, went up after church, and they were like, God says you are like a songbird singing to the nations. And I was like, that's so powerful. Like, yeah, I want that, God. Like, of course I want to be, like, I forgot, like, I used to sing. Like, I used to love to sing. And my name is Rosella, and my name is actually a colorful bird from Australia, the eastern rosella. And I just, like, I felt like God validated something in me that I had long forgotten, like, that I have a purpose. And I do really love, like, other cultures and other peoples and nations, and, like, I've always had that travel bug, or that, like, I just need to get out and serve, type of personality and passion. And so slowly God started kind of opening my voice again, and I started, like, journaling and really getting to know, like, get in touch with honestly, I wouldn't even say I wasn't getting in touch with my passions or my purpose at that time. It was just getting in touch with who God is and who I was in Him. like my identity in him. And I've been a Christian my whole life, but like it didn't occur to me how untethered I was. And like he just started drawing me into him and closer to him. And over the course of a couple of years, like I wanted to eventually leave my marketing job in Dubai for multiple reasons. It was a hard work environment for me to adjust to. Like the people were amazing and like family, but then like some of the dynamics were quite toxic. And overall, like I really love and cherish those people, and like I'm very, very grateful for that position and that time in my life. But I had to grow and mature in a lot of ways and be patient and like forgive like figure out how to handle interpersonal stuff and have boundaries. And there were definitely a lot of challenges that I needed to grow through. And then I felt like, okay, I can leave now. It's like by this time we had moved onto the boat, the houseboat. I think I have to make a video on that too. We had moved onto our houseboat, and I was like, I'm not gonna work a corporate job anymore. Like God has me on a boat. Like I'm on this new adventure. I never want to work a desk job ever again. What am I doing here? Like slowly my, like who I was becoming was not congruent with like the reality I was living. And so I kind of went part-time, and my husband was really uncertain about me leaving my job, even though like my money that I was earning was unnecessary because of his job that he was earning so well and still earns very well. So, but I really felt like God was giving me the option to choose a different career path. And it's just like, you kind of feel like that, like that tension pulling apart, like you feel pulled apart almost. And so I left, and during that season of, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do. You know, I'm just like, I became a housewife, and I loved it. Preparing the home and like learn. Like I read this beautiful book. I'll have to link to it. It was called like The Life-Giving Home. It's something like this. It's all about like how you can like different like almost dynamics to grow in your home. Different principles and ideas, like practical ideas too. And I was like making candles, and like I started painting my prophetic words, at which I was still quite left-brained at that time. So for me to engage in art was scary, because looking at a blank canvas is like one of the most daunting things still for me. But I did a couple of pieces that I'm very proud of, because like, well, I've also done a few that I had to rip up and throw it away immediately. but like just the process, like God even spoke to me as I was painting a word that he had already given me years before, but even in painting it, he gave me more revelation. And so like for me, it was just became a deeper experience, spiritual experience, when I left my corporate career. And during that time, I took a course called like How to Hear God's Voice. It's called Vox Dei. I can link to that too. And that was like maybe, I don't know, these things tend to run like 6-12 weeks, something like that. And during that time, it's like you learn about your identity, and you kind of get over these myths that you can't hear God's voice and all these things. And I had to practice writing prophetic words for other people. It was terrible, you guys. I did some really bad ones. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, this is so exciting. I want to try. I don't know what to do. And, but there was a lot of grace from the leader there, Julian Adams. And I'm so grateful, like, that's where I started. So, but someone gave me a word, and it said, and I was blown away, because it's a prophetic word when you've never spoken this out loud to anyone. I received a word, and it was like, I don't know if you're in performing arts or you want to be, but God is inviting you to trust him. If you want to get into performing arts, you can trust him. And then it was a whole word about like how I would use my passion for the prophetic, which I was only developing at that point. This was 5 or 6 years ago now. I'm very new to it all. Plus my creations. And at that time, I wasn't writing anything. I wasn't even like making notes in my phone, which probably has like 600 notes at this point with all my different ideas and partially created things, right? And I think I was in so much shock. Like, I don't think I cried or anything, but I was like, I think it was like a sense of peace or relief. And like, again, that sensation of just like feeling seen by Almighty God, right? Like, He cares enough about me that He wants me to pursue my passion, which I wasn't getting from my husband. But maybe the last time I got that sense of feeling seen and validated and encouraged was from my dad. Because my dad he really was that type of person to like sit you down and, honey, you know, have you thought about what you'd like to do? You know, I see this in you. You know, I remember after my graduation, I just graduated from like the top journalism program, like, you know, I think it's the second in the country or the world. I don't know what it is. And Dad was like, we were at this ice cream shop and he was like, now, honey, now I'd really like to see you get your master's. I was like, Dad, I just completed, like, we're lucky I finished college. Can we just, I was pretty upset. I was like, no, Dad, I'm fine. I don't want to do any more school, because I had just busted my butt, multiple jobs, so that I wouldn't have any debt from UNC, and God had given me scholarship. I mean, I look back, I was so provided for that whole thing, going to that college. Meanwhile, I had like $40,000 in debt from Campbell University, the Fighting Camels, and not much to show for it there. Anyway, it's just interesting how God does things. So anyway, like, but I felt really loved that my dad cared about me in that way. And that's the same feeling I had from Father God when He was like, Rose, like, you're a performing artist. Do you trust me? And after that, I was like, okay, then I guess I need to start taking acting classes. And so I started, like, I forgot to mention, I'm a daydreamer. Like, I will come up with so many, I have so many ideas all the time. I love just brainstorming and imagining and writing things down, you know, crazy ideas, whatever, skits, sketches, songs. And I had only in my head thought about, like, man, I could write a Broadway musical about this. I could write this Broadway song. But, like, I never saw myself as someone who would, like, sing on the stage or anything like that. And then I got that prophetic word. And then I was like, okay, let me take these classes. So I found a place called Studio Republic. They offered acting class. This is in Dubai. I was living in Dubai on the boat. This is COVID times also. So like 2020, 2021, 2022. They had acting, dancing, gym, music production, and like even like drumming, and do they do piano, guitar? Like, this place was like a performing arts college without like the school classes, the college classes. And I went there, and you guys, their motto is Studio Republic, come to life. Boy, did I come to life. And I had just been featured on Love in Dubai, which is like one of our biggest news outlets, for my boat, like living on the houseboat life and all this stuff. They posted our story, and so people started recognizing me from Love in Dubai, because we had our 15 minutes of fame. We had kind of gone viral a little bit. So like, I made like all my best friends there. It was like, I had no idea that like my people were out there. I thought it was just like, oh, you know, I'm a Christian and those are my people. Like, yes, but also like there's so much more. Like, one of my closest friends now, like, she just like came up and gave me a hug. Like, she was like, I like you, you know, like, and people just so warm and inviting, and like really great performers, and they're so talented. And I was like, I was just trying to keep up with them, and like, I was so nervous, but it was so inviting at the same time. We had this amazing acting teacher, and it was just, I felt like I fell into a family. And man, like, those people literally did become my tribe, my family, the rest of my time in Dubai. It's probably the richest, most blessed thing, aside from birthing my daughter, that happened to me in Dubai. All my family there. Actually, I have so much family, and I miss them a lot, and I usually cry when I think about them. But anyway, I started doing some acting classes, and we would do some scenes where we would get a script one week, work on it during the week, and then film it the next week, and then watch it the next week. And like, I remember having a couple of scenes with my scene partners, and them just, it was just a safe place to explore emotions. I would do some angry scenes, or some like shy on a date scenes and things, and it was just like very therapeutic and opening. How do you say? I just felt expansive when I did these things, because when you're in a neglectful relationship for so long, like, I basically shut down a lot of my emotions, because that was long term, right? So I learned how to operate without emotions, because emotions didn't get me anywhere in my marriage. And I just became very, like, I'm a very vibrant person, but like at home with the person I was closest to, I was like more flat, I felt, because like it didn't serve me to be myself, which is very sad. But then like I got to be myself with these people, and they brought out so much in me. I'm so grateful for these people. And so we started like doing projects, like, hey Rose, can you help me produce this? Hey, can you help me act in this? And we just started doing lots of little projects together. And one of my three musketeer friends, so it's like me, Dushan, and Vika, for those who know them, we submitted to the Paramount Film Festival. They like decided to do, Paramount Hotel in Dubai decided to start a film festival annual, like every year. And so we joined the first one. We submitted our scripts, and two of us did, and two of us got selected. And so I was an actor in one, and a writer and a director in the other. And I almost gave away a role that I was supposed to do. And what I mean by that is, like, I had written this little mini musical, and to do that, I actually went to the hotel, stayed the night. I had the luxury to do that. Not everyone can just afford to do that. But I went, spent the night, and brainstormed, like, a script idea. I think my husband and I, we, went to a little speakeasy that they had in there, and there was, like, a book that talked about the founder of Paramount. And I kind of came up with an idea of someone who wanted to write a screenplay, and he gets denied or rejected. And the hotel comes alive and brings him into a photo, and they serenade him with... Anyway, I'm going to have to actually publish that song, because it's really cute. And I called it Change of Scene. Sometimes, baby, when you want to move forward, you gotta take a few steps back. And it was like a traditional musical theater style song, because I can write many genres, apparently. I know that now. And it came very, like, swiftly. Needed a lot of editing, and we joke, like, I wanted to get camels on set. There's a lot of jokes, but I wanted to do, like, a lot of big things that are unreasonable for a 10-minute film where you have 24 hours to shoot, which sounds very doable. And yet, when you have a cast of, like, 40, no, it's not. Cast and crew. And I had a lot of friends come through to make that happen. People who I feel like God just placed in my life for that project to be able to happen. And that year we won Best Director for that film. And it it had a lot of flaws. I think I would like to redo it properly. But it's just, you learn as you go. It's like my first time ever doing something like that. Oh, but what I wanted to say was, when I wrote it, like, I didn't think I could direct it. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I've only done some, we've done some projects together, but I was always producer or something else, like something small. And so I asked my friends to like call a girl I knew that's really talented, and she's like really confident. And she was like, I was on the phone with her. I was like, yeah, I wrote this. It's this idea. And she was like, well, why don't you do it? And I was like, what? Because I don't know how. And she was like, yeah, you should do it. You should direct it. I was like, oh, you're right. What am I? Of course I should direct it. How do I direct? And I had a lot of friends help me direct, but that was a wake up moment where I was about to pass off something that like God was asking me to grow into. And so I'm actually very grateful for that person, getting me to think straight and calling out the inspire me to do that. So after that, like I think I was pregnant while we filmed it. I was also like, that same week we had to film our other short film that we had submitted that was directed by my friend Dushan. That was an incredible experience. It was hilarious. It was fun. It's just like I felt so alive, These memories are when I feel the most alive, when I'm doing these projects with my friends, because it's not just about the film, it's about the process. It's about the people, the relationships. So then at this time I'm also like serving on my worship team and like singing where I'm comfortable, which is backup. And once in a while I would do like the lead song. My favorite song was like The Blessing or Spirit Breakout or Come Rest on Us. Those are my favorite worship songs to sing. So kind of growing on my confidence, like being on the microphone and knowing when to come in. And man, that was always the worst, is like starting a song was always the scariest for me. Now I'm a little bit better at it, but still. And so then I did a couple more short films, and the next one, I did one major one, and that was with some friends who approached me. They wanted me to co-write something with them, to write something that they could shoot. And so my sister Drea was visiting me at that time. I had already had Rafa, so I had a 1.5-year-old, and we wrote this film again for the Paramount Hotel Film Festival and competition. What's it called? And it was about people with different abilities in Dubai, called People of Determination. And this was close to our heart because our niece, Emma, has autism and cerebral palsy. And again, we went and stayed at the hotel, and this story just emerged where there was a neurodivergent valet, because in the US we have this where we give work opportunities to people who are with different abilities to kind of help them have a great quality life and career. There's no reason they shouldn't, right? So just an employer needs to give an opportunity. So I kind of made Paramount that employer, and it was about a valet, and the valet it's his first day on the job, and he's navigating figuring out how to work this job, but also manage his mental capacity and emotion. It's a lot of anxiety, right? And so then there's also a character who has a physical limitation, and she has CP. So it's one is neurodivergent, one has CP, and her dad is very controlling, doesn't want to let her roam around the hotel by herself or anything like that, let her explore, let her do anything. He's very wants to keep her safe, overprotective dad. And my friends, this cast and crew, showed up and showed out. These were we did an amazing job. My mom flew out from the US to watch my child so I could do this film. It was, again, 10 minutes, 24 hours. My little sister, Dee Dee Mooney, she came out and helped. At 4 a.m. we got chai and everything, and it was just it was a very intense 20-hour process. And all my closest friends, Nihal has been in multiple of my projects and short films. Victor Santana was the star, and this film, Joe and Nick, who they're pros, so they did a phenomenal job, like storyboarding and all these things. Like I learned even more in depth. This was a professional quality film. We were honored to receive Best Director, Cinematography, and Actor for this film. Again, another mini musical I wrote, like with just a short duet about like feeling unworthy, like a second-rate citizen, but also just like what the teenage girl felt that way, who was played by my student. She's just a lovely actress, drama, like she's just a great like high school student that I did a few like online coaching sessions with. Her parents drove her up from Abu Dhabi to do this. It was just so many pieces had to come together for this. It was just so beautiful. They did a little musical where she sang the parts that were like she needed encouragement, and then the other actor sang the encouragement to her over her duet. Anyway, it's just a very interesting short song that I wrote, and it went on later to win Best Film in Dubai for the Emirates Film Festival. So that was the height of my career success, and I never imagined that I would be have any measure of success in performing arts, having come from like journalism and marketing and health insurance, like all those. There are people who are obviously blessed to do those careers, and for me they were phases of my life. They were stepping stones. They were like, I've obviously learned an incredible amount of writing and communication, thinking, just like how to organize thoughts, but most of all, like the last few years at Studio Republic, the coaching, like I also took music production classes, like to make my own at least demos, and I spent a lot of time playing with music in Ableton, and writing down all my lyrics, my ideas. Obviously whatever I publish is just a very small fraction of what I write, like most people, I'm sure. I can't believe I forgot to mention I was a murder mystery actress for a couple of years. One of my good friends, Nadine, was in part of this troupe, and it was like a paid gig, which is not common in Dubai to get paid, like good, consistent paid work as an actor. And he encouraged me to do it, and I was like, I don't know, like it's like a mix of improv, and you have a script of what your character would say in that scenario, but a lot of it is improvised too. It's a perfect blend, really. And it was incredible, run by an incredible guy, who, like, he's a teacher. He's an English teacher. But he has built this business up doing murder mysteries across UAE. And my first show was actually in Saudi Arabia. And I could go because I had, an American passport. And so my husband, my baby, and I all got on a plane and went to Saudi Arabia so I could do this gig. And we stayed at a very nice hotel. And it was with some of my closest friends that I got to perform. And so, I don't know, I think I must have done at least like 50 shows or something like that. And my character was American actress, star, if you will. And that's really where I got a lot of confidence, to consider myself as an actress. And I'm immensely grateful for that job, because I did that while I was mothering. I mean, I was a full-time mom at that time. For a couple of years, I was able to just go at night and do 1 or 2 gigs, sometimes on the weekends. It was very busy. And it was just an amazing experience. And improv with my friends also, I started doing improv more, and also helping to produce my friends' improv shows. And improv is, I can't say enough good things about what it does to you, not just as an actor, but for your development as a person, to get over your fear of failure, I would say improv has been the number one experience and resource that has helped me to get over that fear of failure, and to connect with people. Like, when you're struggling to connect in relationships, it's a really great again, like, social experience or a therapy to be able to go in, come up with a scene. So you're being creative, you're trying characters that maybe give you nostalgia, like I love doing my mom my mom's voice, or like a bro, or like a Latina soap opera. Like, there's a few things that I can pull from my imagination, but it's also very challenging. So it's been the greatest experience to be able to have a foundation in improv. And so then when my life fell apart about a year ago, we landed in Savannah after I found out about my husband's betrayal, which is what a lot of the content on this channel is. And by God's grace, I found a church during the reconciliation time. So we're separated, I'm trying to heal from the madness, and I find a great church. They have an intercessory evening at the time it was Monday nights, and I would join, and I would they were talking about their vision and what they wanted to do, which I'm a very vision oriented person, for their church. And I latched on to something they said, and I asked God for a word, and he gave me the word tapestry, and I just started writing a prophetic poetry based on what the vision was that they wanted for their church. And so I kind of turned that into a spoken word, but it was also prophetic. And I know that is a thing, but I just haven't seen anyone obviously do exactly my style who looks like me. And so I asked if I could share it, and they were like, we really want to grow in the spiritual gifts here, please get up and share. And they had me perform. I think I've done 3 or 4 for this church, Coastal Cathedral in Savannah, and I'm blown away that at the basically all-time low of my life, losing my husband, and I was doing so well in Dubai, I lost all of that too, right? Part of it is it was a demonic attack on my life, basically, to remove any influence that I had. But at the same time, God also rescued me from a not good situation with my husband at the time, of where he has been in his spiritual journey. So that brings me to where I am now, where in my deepest pain, loss, suffering, wilderness, desert, that's where God speaks, right? Midbar. The word for desert is midbar in Hebrew, and also means to speak. And that's also where God has given me the microphone, because I've been closest to him out of necessity, dependence, desperation. And he's blessed me immensely with giving me a platform. He's blessed me with my calling to even encourage me to sing, speak, write. My writing and my talent is not the most. I don't think whatever talent I have is nearly as important as the spirit which I sing or speak with. There's nothing more important. There's nothing more paramount, if you will. And I believe that's why we did win any awards for the films I did in Dubai, because the spirit behind it, the spirit of encouragement. That keeps being the theme. The theme of those films was always picking up someone who is down and speaking words of life, basically, honestly, biblical encouragement, prophetic encouragement, but not using the word Jesus or Bible, you know. And so, like, even in my latest creation, Matador, it's a lot of pain and anger, confusion, and loss, and grief, and heartache, and injustice, and right? But the message is unconditional love and forgiveness and willing sacrifice also. There was one book I read, I think it was like about, I wish I remember the title, but it was basically about how the redemption of God, like God's redemption through art, was like the theme of the book. And I took away, like, you know, I could use my writing abilities to create a really cool pop song, for example. But if it does not have the spirit of redemption, I don't want to publish it. I could write something that people could dance to, but if I don't have the truth of the hope that God has placed within me, that I live for every day, then it's just another pop song. It's just another mainstream song. And there's already plenty of people who are struggling and don't have the answers that I've been blessed to receive. So that's what makes my art different. That's what makes me relevant, is like carrying the prophetic, making sure that that is woven through, that is the gold thread in any of my art, whether I'm painting, singing, speaking, rapping. Only thing I was a little bit disappointed in myself is that I did some musical improv courses recently that were like also so good for me therapeutically through this whole thing the last year. I've done 2 courses, and live performance is really hard when you're in, like, the scenarios are like you're in a pharmacy, or you're at a club, or, you know, and so that I'm not really good at bringing in Holy Spirit. I had to repent for some things that I said because they just came off the top of my head. So out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Like, that's, you know. So I'm not saying I'm 100%. I'm not. But when I put an intention into a piece of work or art, like, I really want the redemption and love of God to come through, because I don't think there's anything more important than knowing that you were created by a loving God, that He trusts you to change the world as a result of you being transformed by His love. So that can be sung and spoken and painted and crafted in a multitude of ways. And yeah, I hope that I get to inspire a lot of other people who never thought that they were artistic to do that, because I was as far from that as I could have been, and God was like, that served you for a season. Let's get into the real business of performing arts. He's like, I gotta grow some things inside of you. I've sown some special surprises into your life, Rose, and it's time for them to come out. And He's still doing that. We're just in the first 10 minutes of the movie, as a friend told me. So I'll leave you with that. I have to give a shout out to Norby, who is like one of the most talented friends I have in performing arts. I met a lot of incredibly talented people through Studio Republic, and I've mentioned a lot of them so far already by name, but Norby is a fellow Colombiana, and she has been invested and eager to take part in anything that I write and create. And so thankfully we've been able to do a lot of work together, but she is just a star, even for Determined, the one that I mentioned about people of determination, that film. She brought out a little band. She put together a band for a very important scene that was like a main comic relief. I'll link to that film because it was precious to me, and as were all the people that contributed so much. And yeah, one last thing I'll say about that is on my last days in Dubai, I like had this puzzle from the film that I had kind of bought because it was so cool. I found this round puzzle, and it's just super colorful, and each different piece is like a colorful mosaic, like multiple colors within one piece of the puzzle. And I went and gave it around to all of my friends in Dubai who had blessed me with just the color that they brought to my life, right? And on my birthday, it was like my 34th birthday, and I was leaving Dubai. Just everything happened that week. All the things happened that week. And I like gave puzzle pieces to everyone. And it was all like the people who threw me a little birthday party, because at this time I'm separating from my husband, so like he's not going to celebrate my birthday. I don't even know if he really said anything to me that day, because it was just obvious that he didn't want to work on things, and I did, but I could see that he wasn't able to tell me that he was fizzling out and giving up. So all my performing arts friends threw me a birthday party in the park where we would do our improv practices in this super humid, hot weather at night. And so there must have been about 10 or 12 of us there, and I was just in tears because I feel like God gave me this idea to give them a puzzle piece and tell them what color they were, like what that represented about something that they had either, shown to me of the divine, or something that that God had woven into that person, using that color like as a jumping off point for the prophetic. So, and then in turn, they all in a circle like blessed me with encouragement. And one of my friends, good friends, Ketchy and Paolo, I miss you guys so much. Also, we've worked on a lot of things together. Paolo was my first scene partner. Ketchy gave me a prophetic word, whether she realizes it or not. She was like, Rose, I feel like you're gonna do music, and it's gonna impact people with like, the God that you carry inside of you, without necessarily even talking about God directly. And I was like, wow, like that's exactly what I'm doing now. But all these people that gave me space, encouraged me, taught me, grew me, right? Because like when you're in these little troops, when you're in these performing arts groups, it's like you're all growing together. You're all like, you all speak the same language. You all like love each other in a way that people just can't relate to or understand. It's a very special type of bond that actors and actresses have, creatives have, I feel like. Oh yeah, like my sister Dre and I, we did stand-up, and all these people came out to support us and watch our stand-up. Our first stand-up comedy set. Like, these are the people you take risks with. These are the people that like you will drop everything and go help them on a project. because you know how important it is, how hard it is. You know, none of us have money to just like produce something amazing. Like that just doesn't happen in Dubai unless you're at a very different level. It's like we all banded together to make each other's dreams come true. Oh, I miss you guys so much. I'm gonna cry. I love you. Sometimes, baby, when you want to move forward, you gotta take a few steps back. 'Cause the stress and the worry will get you nowhere fast. When one door closes, keep a looking for the window. The right one will open up. All it takes is a change of scene. Won't you change it up? And don't get down. Don't give up. 'Cause we all have got to start somewhere. Find your voice deep within. No one else has got your narrative. Rejection feels bad, but you know what feels better? Finding inspiration. You gotta dive in the deep end, better learn how to swim. Remember, my friend, we each have a story, so write about what you know. All it takes is a change of scene, won't you change it up? And don't get down, don't give up. 'Cause we all have gotta start somewhere. Find your voice deep within. No one else has got your narrative.